today's episode of The Daily Blend. I'm your host, AC, and we are joined in studio today by Brianna Lennon, who is the Boone County Clerk. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I feel like it's been a minute.
It has been election cycles being as they are.
Yeah, I would imagine so. But we do have an election coming up.
We do.
Tell us what we need to know.
So the August 6th primary is coming up. Today is the first day that you can vote no excuse absentee, which is really, it's sort of a fancy word for early voting because we're not an early voting state, but no excuse absentee operates the exact same way as election day. It just happens earlier. So you don't have to sign up in advance. You still need your photo ID, but you can just come to our office, come to the Boone County Government Center, and we can get you taken care of. And we're also going to do weekend hours.
Oh, okay.
So even if you can't come to the government center, on the 27th, we're going to be at the mall from 11 to 4.
Okay.
And then the next day, Sunday, the 28th, we'll be at Douglas High School from 11 to 4. And then following week on Saturday, we'll be at both the Southern Boone Library and the Centralia Library. So we're trying to get out so that people have every opportunity.
Yeah.
And the big thing to know is to bring a photo ID because that law did change, and a Missouri driver's license works, a U.S. passport works, passport card, or military ID. They all work. Okay,
so you guys are making it very convenient by getting out to different places.
We're trying to make it so that if somebody has can't get downtown, they at least can go somewhere. And of course, on Election Day, on August 6th, you can go to your polling place, and we have all of this information on our website, too. So you can always check out vote.boonemo.org, and you can look up your own sample ballot. That's really helpful for people that are just remembering that the election's coming up. Go online, check out your sample ballot, and get informed and ready for the election.
Yes, I cannot tell you how many times I have had to pull the other person who lives in my house a sample ballot. He won't watch this, but pull the sample ballot out and be like, this is what it's like. Let me educate you before you step in there. This is what's going on. These are the people. This is what you need to know.
And the primary is especially complicated because you've got 4 different party ballots that you can choose from. So also a good thing to know is don't be surprised if you go to the poll. When you go to the poll, they're going to ask you what party ballot style to have. It doesn't have any bearing on, you don't get affiliated as that party. We don't keep that information. But you are, even though it's an open primary state, you have to choose one of those party styles.
Oh, see, I did not know that. And so that's good to know beforehand.
Yes.
Right, because you don't want to get caught off guard when when they ask you and you're like, because you don't know what that means.
Yeah, it can feel very intrusive, I think, for you walk in and 2 people you haven't met before are asking you what party you are. Like I said, you pick it. We don't keep that information anywhere. It's just for the purposes of what party candidates you want to vote in for that election. And if you don't want to pick a party, you can do nonpartisan. That will give you the ability to vote on the constitutional amendments that are on the ballot and the City of Columbia issue.
And I mean, local elections, like what is the turnout normally on local elections?
So our April elections are usually under 20% turnout. And so the way that I have been talking to people about it is if you flip it and say 80% of the eligible voters didn't turn out in April, it's really kind of changes how you look at how much participation we have. So the August election, even though it's got a mix of local, state, and federal, we'll still probably only see about 35%.
Okay, so 70% of registered voters in Boone County are not coming out for those.
Yes.
Which means we need more people coming out.
Yes, if we want to be able to make our voices heard in our community, get out and vote. We have, like I said, no excuse absentee is starting today. We've got that for the full 2 weeks leading up to the election, and then the weekend opportunities too.
Yeah. What do you think? Why do you think people think like it's more important to vote in, like people will come out and vote for the presidential elections, but for the local elections, which I feel sort of like those local things might affect me a little more personally. I mean, in some ways.
Yeah.
What do you think that kind of misconception is?
I think one is that it's hard to really truly get informed about local elections. It can be very difficult because they are not high glitz and glam.
I see.
You're running for school board. You're not really running a million campaign ads and things and getting your name out there. So that it can be very tricky. But at the same time, I also think that there's this misconception that local politics is... It's something that happens, but really we're focusing on Senate, we're focusing on president, and people come out for those things. And like you said, that's not true.
Yeah.
School board members make a huge impact on our community. City council makes a huge impact. They're very important races.
Yes, both of those things. And so for as much like hubbub as you hear, like on social media, if you're on social media about, our local elected officials or government or whatever, it's like, okay, well, come on, everybody, let's get out and vote then, because those are the things that you hear people talk about the most when they're kind of talking about the local things that are happening. I'm like, well, yeah, elections affect those things, right?
Yeah, and one vote really does make a difference. I think people get concerned that, I don't go and vote because it really doesn't matter anyway. But one vote really does make a difference, especially in those local elections.
Did we have a case of something like that happening recently?
We did. We had a city council Ward 3 race, and that was stressful. And, as much as I think both of the candidates got out there and campaigned and things like that, it's still hard to then have to do it again to break the tie.
Yes.
So, I mean, for one thing, it's very important to be able to make your voice heard so that you have results that you feel like represent you. But you also want to make sure that we're having high participation so that that's reflective of our whole community.
That is absolutely the truth. Okay, so any last words before we go? We got about 20 seconds left. What do people need to know real quick?
Quickest thing, get your photo ID, bring your photo ID to the polls. No excuse absentee voting starts today. Go to our website at vote.boonemo.org.
Vote.boonemo.org. That's important. All right, that's where you can gather all the information. Brianna, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Come back anytime.